Project Gemini. Being the second NASA human spaceflight program, it lasted roughly 6 years and acted in parts as a bridge for Apollo. With Gemini, several spaceflight techniques were tested and used later on with other programs. Gemini would also see plans for what was considered the Advanced Gemini. However, many of these plans were cancelled, including the Manned Orbital Laboratory or MOL, and possible lunar landings in the future. Although these would be cancelled probably due to Apollo being the program that would be responsible for doing these missions. Next up, the Titan missiles. The Titan 1 would become the first multi-stage American ICBM, though it would only be used for 3 years. Its upper stage engines were supposedly reliable enough to be turned on at altitude after stage separation. It also had a payload that was a W-38 thermonuclear warhead. Now, the Titan II. The Titan II was part of the Titan rocket family and also a successor to the Titan I missile. Seen as improvements could be made to the Titan I, the Titan II would be made capable of carrying a bigger warhead and reaching bigger range with more accuracy. Anyways, the Titan II GLV, or Gemini Launch Vehicle, ended up being the perfect launch vehicle for Gemini. Reliable, powerful, and way safer than the Atlas in Project Mercury. Gemini was more than just a stepping stone between Mercury and Apollo, as NASA actually had way bigger plans for it, and their Advanced Gemini. After Gemini wrapped up its main missions in 1966, NASA and McDonnell had some pretty wild ideas for what they called Advanced Gemini, of which I mentioned at the start of the video. Since Gemini had proven that they could rendezvous, dock, and spacewalk, NASA thought of keeping using Gemini but improved. One of the coolest ideas was a Gemini lunar flyby. Basically, they'd stretch the capsule, give it more fuel and life support, place it on top of a Titan III or a Saturn 1B, and send 2 astronauts to orbit the moon. And there was also the Manned Orbital Laboratory, or MOL. This was actually a US Air Force plan. Gemini would dock with a mini space station that was basically a spy station in orbit. Astronauts would do experiments and might as well observe the Soviets. Another proposal was Big Gemini, which was basically Gemini on steroids. Bigger capsule, parachute, landing instead of a splashdown, and room for up to 12 astronauts or a bunch of cargo. Think of it like a mini space shuttle before the shuttle even existed. There were also plans to use Gemini for rescue missions, space station resupply runs, and even super long flights, like 45 days on orbit. However, all of this got cancelled. NASA had one goal: get to the moon by the end of the decade. They didn't want to spend money on Gemini when Apollo was already designed for the moon and beyond. Still, Advanced Gemini is one of those what-if programs that makes you wonder how different space history could have been if they went through with it. And that's the story of Gemini, the program that set everything up for Apollo in the future. But now, it's time for the big one. In part 3, we'll dive into Apollo itself, the program that finally took us to the moon. And trust me, things are about to get way more intense. Bigger rockets, more drama, and the race to beat the Soviets once and for all. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.